on the News Channel 5 network. This is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here with you on a Tuesday. We have a good show on tap for you. We're going to open up the phone lines in just a moment, but as you know, periodically we do talk about, retirement, I guess elder care law, those types of things that is truly a growing segment of this population as more of us age. And whether it's you or maybe a loved one, maybe grandparents or parents, look, you're going to have to deal with this sooner or later once you get there. And it's better to have preparation in place before a crisis hits. Trust me on that. I've learned that from our guests who are joining us this morning. Actually, a lot of times it's Tim Takis and Barbara McGinnis. This morning, we fly solo with Barbara McGinnis.
Good morning.
It's good to have you on.
Thank you.
Of course, you know them from their program, Takis and McGinnis, and every once in a while she'll join me on the big show here. And it's true, isn't it? The population of this country is aging.
Absolutely.
And as far as just before we went on, I go, so how is the practice? And I think they're one of the preeminent firms in the entire country that do this, and we're lucky to have them in Middle Tennessee. But is the practice thriving?
Absolutely. Demographic shifts, for one thing, make elder law a real boom sort of industry. So much so that you see a lot of people that want to enter the elder law field.
You mean attorneys?
Other attorneys.
Okay.
And, they may or may not have the expertise, perhaps, and not being disparaging about it anyway. I'm talking about where we exclusively do elder law. It's not a dabble. Tim and I are both certified.
Exactly.
It is all we do is elder law. And of course, Tim's been practicing elder law in Tennessee for 25 plus years. That's been his exclusive business service.
There's something to be said for specialties. We have another attorney who comes on who exclusively handles malpractice cases.
Yes.
He's certified toward that.
Another specialty area.
Exactly. And so you guys do that. But what's unique about your practice too that I hadn't been aware of, you think it's an office of lawyers, but it's more than that. I mean, you've got people in place to help on every aspect of what you're talking about.
Absolutely. I refer to it as a holistic model.
Okay, yeah.
Tim will talk about the integration of the legal, personal, and financial needs, because we know that, as two kids that are helping take care of aging parents, we know that you don't worry about just one thing. You're not worried about just having the right documents in place, which is often what you associate with attorneys, right? But you worry about their personal care needs. Are they being met? Even if they're well placed now, do I have to advocate for good care? How do I navigate their health insurance? Because Medicare is not that easy to understand, right? So we do approach it from the three different aspects, looking at their personal care needs, their health care financing needs, how do we pay for the good care that they need to receive, and then the legal documents. Mostly the legal aspect is providing a structure in place to meet the goals. Right.
Once you get that in place, then you start working toward those goals with all the other stuff, the holistic.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get the phone lines open, 737-7587, but getting the legal documents in place. Once you have them set, then everything else, and so much of what I've learned from you and Tim is beyond that. It's kind of just, and I think this is what you're talking about, the experience of dealing with this specifically. How you understand the thought process of some of the seniors you're dealing with and how to handle them. That's huge. That's huge. And that's where you guys have guided me more than anything else in terms of when they start losing their memory and when they maybe sometimes don't agree with everything. How do you go about getting them to go along with what is best, as you always say, for them first and foremost?
Absolutely. So understanding the biopsychosocial needs of older adults is certainly integral to our practice. So not only do we spend time educating ourselves, but on staff, there are clinical professionals. Just by coincidence, my educational background, in addition to law school, is a geriatric nurse practitioner. But we have licensed clinical social workers on staff. She's a master's prepared social worker with additional experience in clinical experience, and a former long-term care ombudsman. So someone who's uniquely qualified to look at resident rights and speak to what happens in the nursing home or other healthcare settings.
Can you help people pursue benefits that may be out there that they weren't aware of?
There are government benefits that we're talking about. So the biggest government benefit for older adults is certainly Medicare.
What about now after Medicare? I just don't want you to delve too far into that, but after Medicare is the next biggest VA?
VA is huge, absolutely.
Okay,
huge.
Well, dealing with the VA is like slamming your head into a brick wall. Okay, I'm serious. And the reason I brought that up, and again, I want people to share their personal stories. I don't mind. My brother-in-law went through that, and we didn't realize, because of some Agent Orange contamination, that was not something that we knew about. And my wife did some amazing work going through this and finally finding out that he qualified for benefits, which has now allowed him to go into assisted living, which he needs because he's losing his memory.
Right.
But going through the bureaucracy of it, I mean, we're talking more than a year, and then we're talking about things that you think you have straight, and then all of a sudden, somehow, a phone number or an address is transponded differently than it was originally entered, and you're completely at ground zero again. It is annoying.
It's worse than annoying.
Oh, it's horrible.
Because a lot of people depend on, if you're looking at government benefits to help subsidize your health care, a lot of people need this money to pay for their care. So you're either talking about people that are going without care.
Right.
You're talking about family members ponying up and paying for part of the care, or you're talking about facilities not receiving full reimbursement for care. So lots of implications. Yes, the VA is incredibly frustrating to deal with.
You think that's because it's just such a huge bureaucracy?
It is. And I don't know if there's been, I don't know if there's been additional cuts to the program in terms of staffing, but things a year ago, I would tell you that on average it would take about 6 months to get an application approved. Now I think you should expect 9 to 12 months.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of talk about how federal administration's trying to work on making the VA better. The VA's harder than ever to work with. Interesting.
And that timetable, I mean, it's kind of the same way with Social Security folks applying for SSI and things like this. You're talking 6 months to a year, but I think the VA is even worse.
I think the VA is even worse right now.
Yeah, and it's a shame because the people who really do help you are sometimes the former veterans, or the veterans who have gone through it, then are then on their own kind of working through some of these agencies trying to help, and they want to help. These are folks who serve their country.
Right.
It always gets me that we're all gung-ho about go over there and fight and protect us and do their job. We all support them. And that's great. It's real easy to support them when they're out there fighting for you. What makes me sick is that when they come back and they really need our help now, it's not there, and that's just flat wrong. And it happens in this country. Oh, we're all gung-ho when they're over there. We forget about them when they come back. And I hate that. I mean, the department needs to take steps to fix this, and we've been talking about it, so I don't know if it'll ever happen.
I don't know either. Last year in October, there were really big, sweeping changes to eligibility for pension. That's the aid and attendance that we kind of think about to help. The application got longer, more detailed, it became more restrictive. Now some bright line rules about how much money can you have, and that's good. But it's been a nightmare to try to get people approved. Yeah, and like you said, I thought they were going to be streamlining it. I know when the president was elected, that was part of it, talking about the VA, and the last president, the same thing. We're going to change it, and just through 2 administrations, it hasn't happened. It just hasn't. So I don't know what'll go down on that. Well, listen, I want to talk about a few things and kind of getting it down to where some of the questions our viewers may have. Sure. A lot of us, and I touched bases on this, power of attorney is a big issue here. There are different types of power of attorney. Okay, you can get power of attorney that allows you to help with your loved one who needs the help, finances. But there's a separate one for medical, or can they all be together in one? Well, some of that, yes, they can be all together. Some attorneys will draft them to where it's all in one document. We don't. But ordinarily, you think about 2 separate documents. There's different statutes that govern those documents, and that's part of the reason why we separate them out. But a durable general power of attorney is what allows you to take care of the business of another individual. All right, so that might be paying their bills, it might be selling their house. buying a new house, paying taxes, the business of being a person. The other, the healthcare power of attorney, that's taking care of the person for medical and healthcare decision making.
For instance, you would be the one with the power of attorney if someone became maybe temporarily incapacitated, or had a fall and their head was messed up and they're in the hospital and the doctor needs to kind of know who to ask for about the level of treatment.
And you need both or either of these documents set up prior to loss of capacity.
Because the person has to sign off to agree that you are.
The person has to give the authority, right.
So that's crucial.
That is crucial.
I'd say that's a pretty good point you just made there.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll take a break. We can talk more on that. We've got some calls coming in. The number 737-7587. And she always brings a handy-dandy notebook with a bunch of, I think, information in there on different things people are dealing with. So, look, we're talking about elder law and some of these legal questions that I'm asking her right now. If you have a few of those, you're dealing with a situation, you can't beat free legal advice from Barbara McGinnis. Make the call. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more with her right after this.